Does anybody else remember Heroes and Generals, the World War II shooter from way back when? It was free to play as well, and it really blew up at the time. Playing it with your friends, hopping inside cars or tanks, heading across bridges and ducking from snipers, or just all out getting sprayed down by masses of Tommy guns. And whilst Heroes and Generals was, I think it's safe to say, the clunkiest game I've ever played, I really kind of enjoyed it, especially the free-to-play aspect. There wasn't really anything in the World War II sphere that was like it back in the day. But it's safe to say that the original game has run its course. The engine is rubbish and it definitely needs something new. It needs a new lick of paint at the very least. So, that's when we heard about Heroes and Generals 2. Yes, it is coming, but it's a little bit more suspicious than we thought. The game is being made on Unreal Engine 5, hoping to support some of the beautiful new graphics and especially mechanics, more destruction and more dynamic gameplay, bigger maps and more support for more players on said maps. However, it's not all plain sailing. You might think a sequel to Heroes and Generals would be welcomed with open arms, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. However, there is some backlash. People seem to be angry because they are shutting down the original after so long, but also because Heroes and Generals 2 doesn't seem to be all that open and transparent about the way they're going about it. It is, once again, going to be free to play, but the original was always free to play, yet recently it was acquired by a bigger company. They added in battle passes and, well, now they're shutting down the servers. These battle passes and microtransactions, by the way, came in just a year before they announced that the game was shutting down entirely, which isn't, the most open idea. It does tend to look when you do that they're trying to scrape the last few pennies that are dropping from the ceiling before shutting down the title, not even bothering to improve or give more content to the players that are paying for this extra stuff. On top of that, Heroes and Generals 2, while supposedly still going to be free, isn't entirely. They've already set up a Kickstarter for the next title. But why? It doesn't really make all that much sense. Heroes and Generals came out all the way back in 2015, 2016, and with it a massive campaign. Huge YouTubers doing sponsorships, from Frankie on PC to even the Yogscast, who were at their peak back in the day. So there has always been a budget behind the title, and it's always been pretty successful. It's not like the original Heroes and Generals flopped in any way. So why are they asking for more money now? Especially recently being acquired by a much larger company, adding in microtransactions and battle passes. Still, they're saying that the next game's not going to be available until they hit their goals. As a side note, by the way, the main announcement video for Heroes and Generals 2 has a horrifically bad dislike ratio. And I don't just mean poor, I mean like in YouTuber terms, this is one of the most hated videos I've ever seen in terms of its ratio. But all the comments seem to be pretty positive, supporting the next title, saying that, yeah, it is time for new Heroes and Generals, which indicates to the point that they are now also deleting comments from their announcement. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. With a Kickstarter to a new title, a sequel to an already successful game, not being completely transparent about shutting down the original title and then deleting comments off the announcement. What is going on here? The developers have said that it's not just going to be a straight port though, whilst I'm a little bit suspicious whether they're going to really be improving it as much as they say. They want to really keep the core that made Heroes and Generals fun, the more arcadey, at least, big multiplayer battles in World War II, yet ported onto Unreal Engine 5, using that to advance the gameplay and bring it into the modern day. And I do agree, it is horrifically outdated, not just graphically but mechanically. There are some really cool things, like instead of a mini-map, Heroes and Generals would have you pull up an actual physical map, some cool touches like that, and of course voice chat, so on and so forth. Yet there needs to be some big changes, especially to driving. Vehicle combat is, well, floaty is a bit of an understatement. And It really does need a new engine, so I'm not too fussed about them bringing it to Unreal Engine 5. In fact, I think it's going to be really great for the franchise. But to be fair, I did stop playing the original back in 2016, so I'm not exactly that attached to losing it. What's more, they've announced controller compatibility, expansion beyond PC, and I'm assuming that means we're going to get it fully on console. The game will once again consist of a persistent war, players picking a faction and going into multiple battles, but it's all really leading between one big war, moving to and from places, capturing and taking territory, and defending it from the dastardly oncoming attackers. They are showing what I can only assume is gameplay for the new title, but it does say that it's subject to change, so I wouldn't say that this looks like a final version. In fact, this is supposed to be on Unreal Engine 5 and it only looks marginally better than the original. How can you make an Unreal Engine 5 look out of date before it's released? Look, if I'm going to be unreasonably picky and break down this announcement that the devs have brought out, which, you know, I am because that is my job, listen to this bit.
The Unreal Engine will allow us to create photorealistic images and make you feel like you're in the thick of battle. Everything you're seeing right now, all made in Unreal.
This, talking about graphics, this is the screenshot that they show on screen while they're talking about using Unreal Engine 5 to create photorealistic images. Are you kidding me? Am I going mental here? Maybe when they said that they wanted to keep Heroes and Generals and the core of it in the sequel, they just meant they wanted it to look as bad as the first game. Because, look, even in 2015 and 2016, the first Heroes and Generals is not a good looking game. Graphically, it always lacked, and it seems like they've just kept that going. This is 2023. This is Unreal Engine 5 and they're making a game that looks like this? Look, I know graphics are not everything and not even a really important part of a title, but you need to know that the devs know what they're doing, that they have some skill and talent in order to make the rest of the game play well at least. So the fact that you can't even get the graphics looking like a modern title doesn't bring me much hope that the rest of Heroes and Generals 2 is going to be new and updated and fresh and shiny for 2023. All in all, there has been so much talk about it. Whether it's been good or bad, it looks like they're not exactly going about it the most transparent way. But it's one of those things that you can never really tell until a little bit more information is released. So I guess we're just going to have to hold out, at least for now. Because they killed Heroes and Generals, but hey, at least we might get Heroes and Generals 2. If you fund it. Jesus Christ.